Welcome to SUSD Spotlight, your go-to source for all things happening within the district. Whether it's celebrating student and staff achievements, delving into trending education topics, or highlighting inspiring human interest stories, we've got you covered. Join us as we illuminate the incredible endeavors taking place in our schools and forge connections within our community. Get ready to be informed, inspired, and engaged as we embark on this journey together, spotlighting the extraordinary in SUSD. Welcome to another edition of SUSD Spotlight. Today we have the privilege of having Nikihl Sethi from Saguaro High School join us in studio as we talk about the Scottsdale Student Advisory Board. Welcome, Nikihl.
Thanks, Dr. Menzel.
Maybe you can start off just telling us a little bit about yourself, your background here in Scottsdale Unified School District, and your experiences at Saguaro High School.
Oh, sure. Well, I've been in SUSD schools since fourth grade, started at Copper Ridge and decided to open and roll over to Saguaro for the Math and Science Academy, which for me was a great choice. I love being an MSA, involved in a lot of things at Saguaro like StuGo and a couple of clubs, and it's been a really great time the past couple of years, and as I'm about to head out as a senior.
That's exciting. And where are you going after this year? Do you know?
Not yet. Still figuring it out. Almost there.
It's pretty exciting, the journey, though, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been a lot.
So the Student Advisory Board, you've been on it for more than 1 year. Tell me a little bit about why you were interested in serving on the Student Advisory Board.
Well, I've always liked being involved in school community because I've been doing StuGo almost all of high school, been in a lot of clubs, as I said before, and have a lot of different interests. So going to Student Advisory Board, I was thinking was a good way that I could kind of bring some insight from Saguaro and work with other students to hopefully make the school district better, which was always my goal by joining SAB.
So for those who don't know, the district has had a Student Advisory Board for a number of years with representatives from each of our 5 high schools. And oftentimes we've had a representative from Scottsdale Online, but not always. And we meet monthly to talk about issues and concerns from a student perspective. So as you think about the meetings that you've attended and the opportunities to provide input, what stands out as being most meaningful or impactful from your perspective? And what might some opportunities for improvement that you see from your perspective that we should continue to have conversations about?
Oh, sure. Well, I think one thing with SAB that I didn't expect necessarily coming in, but I was really happily surprised with, was how much we get to work with district leadership. So I've met a lot of different department heads and obviously spoken with you many times, and also gotten to engage with a lot of different students from each of the high schools. And we come in and there's small things that we notice on our campuses, like say a big subject that people like to talk about is facilities or bathrooms or just small things, but that always comes into a bigger conversation of things that we can do better as students and maybe things that we can work with administration on doing better. So some things that I thought have been really great to focus on have been student recognitions, like things like recognizing seniors when they're graduating for their achievements, and also a really big thing has been how to handle discipline. We were talking with different department chairs about I forget the term, but it's a way of positively, it's almost like positive discipline, but it's more like treating everybody as equals and handling situations very carefully and involving all parties to try to figure out when something goes wrong, how to fix it. And we have a pretty good way of doing that at Saguaro, and it wasn't something that was necessarily consistent on all of our campuses. So we thought that it would be a good thing to sit down with administrations and talk about as better ways to handle student situations that come up in schools. So things like that have been really big focus for us this year.
So the Student Advisory Board has the opportunity to engage with district leadership, but how do you engage with the students at your campus so that you're elevating all the voices?
Oh, I'd love to talk about Teen Town Hall. That's kind of our keynote every year for SAB. We'll work with our principals to organize a town hall where different members of the district cabinet, Dr. Menzel and other leadership, will come in and listen to student concerns and answer questions that they have. And it's a really great way to kind of bridge the divide that some people see to exist that doesn't really exist, that district leadership is willing to work with students and they'll come in and chat with us and help us work to solve problems that we have. So I've really enjoyed organizing Teen Town Hall the past 2 or 3 years. And then we also regularly talk with other students in our school. We make ourselves available to talk with other students who have concerns that they'd like us to take to Student Advisory Board meetings, or things that they hear are consistent between our campus and others that they think that we can address together.
So from a student perspective, one of the things that I remember from the Teen Town Hall at Saguaro last year was the desire for more time with the social worker and dealing with some of the pressures and challenges that high school students are experiencing now. Heard a report on the radio recently about the high number of students who are experiencing depression and anxiety. What kinds of things are you seeing on your campus, and has anything changed with respect to access to the social worker or supports that you're having on the campus?
Yeah, so I do have to acknowledge that, yeah, I've seen a lot of students dealing with depression and anxiety, and I think it's becoming more and more prevalent, like you said, from the study that you saw all over, and I think it's consistent through all SUSD high schools and, frankly, all high schools probably in the United States. But I think having voiced that it'd be meaningful to have more access to the social worker has made that a bigger possibility. I know that our social worker wasn't necessarily aware that there was so much need in the high school, or that there were so many students who would like to speak with her. And so I think by bridging with students to our administration, we were able to make that understood and provide more awareness to students that option is available to meet with her. And I think it's been pretty beneficial for a lot of students, and some of my friends included.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I always think about how important it is for us to support the whole child, every aspect of a student's success in school. And so when we heard that at the Teen Town Hall, I wanted to be sure that we're taking steps to provide the support that's necessary. From an academic perspective, do you feel like the district, and Saguaro in particular, is providing you with challenging curriculum and the opportunities to really pursue your passions?
Yeah, so this year, this is a really specific example, but this year we got AP Physics at Saguaro. And last year I took physics and I thought it was pretty easy, but this year I'm taking physics and it's not that easy. But it's good because it's challenging me, making me understand things better and how to actually use them in a career, because I'm planning on going into engineering. So physics is important to me. So there's examples like AP and then also dual enrollment classes where there's a lot of different opportunity to try more advanced coursework and definitely be challenged if you're looking for a challenge or looking to get some college credit in advance. But my favorite class this year is my biotechnology class.
Okay.
That's dual enrollment with Scottsdale Community College, and also follows a national curriculum called HOSA, which is Healthcare Occupations for Students in America. So we do a lot of hands-on labs and a lot of biotechnician level skills that a lot of people don't usually try until they're in college. And at the end of the year, in a couple of weeks actually, we're taking tests to get our biotechnician assistant certifications. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll pass the test unless I screw something up really bad. But it's a really great class, and definitely a great opportunity that I've had at Saguaro.
So you aren't coasting through your senior year then?
No, not coasting through. It's a challenge. I thankfully kept my grades good, but it's definitely been a challenge for some of my AP classes.
Well, it sounds like there's lots of opportunity in the classroom to explore that lab work and earn certifications, but are there other opportunities, and maybe even in other coursework, to recognize the real world opportunity that is associated with what you're learning in the classroom?
Oh yeah, plenty. And one thing, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm in the Math and Science Academy at Saguaro, and one of the graduation requirements, as I'm sure you both know, is field experience. So the directors of the MSA at Saguaro help us connect with people in industry and in different companies in Arizona and usually in Scottsdale area that we can connect with and do internships or field experiences with. And I was able to work with the city of Scottsdale over the summer at the Scottsdale Water Treatment Facility. Learned a lot about chemistry, biology, and infrastructure, and that was great. And it definitely paid off for me in figuring out what path I want to pursue as a career, which is in that area for sure. So that's definitely one opportunity that we have to get involved outside of the classroom. And then another that I've had through my club on campus, I'm one of the presidents right now, but it's called the Environmental Club at Saguaro. And with our advisor, shout out to Mr. Milne, we have worked with a bunch of community partners, but namely the Sonora McDowell Conservancy, to found a research garden on our campus. And we're looking at the impact of different microhabitat alterations on the growth of saguaro cacti. And that's something I never thought I'd be able to do in high school. And we're actually going to publish a paper on it in a couple of weeks. So it's been really exciting and definitely an opportunity I did not expect to have.
So many opportunities on campus for leadership, but then additionally district leadership as part of the student advisory board. Does SAB have goals and or their sights set on achieving something more this year? You mentioned the graduation accolades, but I wondered if there was another item that they're really working toward.
One thing this year that has been brought up quite a bit is student and security relations. I know that's one that we're working on, and trying to have more students like meet with the security personnel in the district and create better relationships with students. Definitely with the graduation accolades. I know that's coming more into effect next year. But I think that one thing that the entire student advisory board for the past couple of years has been talking about is the amount of competition that sometimes comes up as a result of things like class rank. So very glad to this year have finally sealed away that we're going to move over to the cum laude system so that students can get more recognition on an equal level, and then also have individual recognitions with the like graduation regalia for different clubs that they're a part of and different achievements that they have. And in relation to that, big focus has really been supporting students who have big achievements, even if they're not always recognized. And I think that's something that through these efforts we've really been able to get better at in the district.
Well, I always appreciate the diverse perspectives that are brought forward at the student advisory board meetings. Curious how you would sell SAB to students who are coming up in terms of their time commitment and why they should be involved.
If I really think that any student who enjoys being at school or has anything areas of improvement that they see at school could be interested in SAB and definitely should consider it. It's really productive, and if you really have an idea that you want to accomplish, there's a way to do it through SAB, because we basically are able to meet with whoever in the district that we'd like to work with on something. So I definitely encourage anybody who's interested to talk to their principal and fill out an application, and there's a good chance you'll be able to come to our first meeting next year. I won't be there, sadly, but next year, definitely consider it. And the time commitment isn't too large as a whole, because we have one meeting a month, but in between each meeting, there's a lot of work that you can do. So you'll, like many things, you'll get from it what you put into it, but there's a lot of great things that can be done through the resources in SAB.
I've really enjoyed the opportunity personally and professionally to engage with SAB, and especially the communications committee, which obviously relates to that which I do in the district, but to have the opportunity to improve our communications with students, because we always think about the parents and we think about the staff and how to communicate, but the stories that we're writing about are really about the students' successes. So making sure that gets back to the students was really something that we all were able to learn from. And then additionally, elevating the student voice. And now there's a blog on the SUSD source. So we've got monthly updates from the students talking about, the good that's being done. And then I love that you called it productive, because sometimes there's meetings for sake of meetings. This is not that.
No, definitely not. And I'm very glad that we're in the source now. It's really fun because we get to help choose what goes in there now for our blog, but definitely very productive, because we almost always go overtime with our meetings. There's always something to talk about, and there's always something that somebody's interested. So every meeting is lengthy, but in a good way.
In a good way.
In a good way.
So we exist to support students and their success. We like to ask our guests on the podcast, is there a particular teacher or experience in your school journey that you would like to highlight as something to celebrate or shout out to someone?
Yes, there's actually many, and I mentioned Mr. Milne earlier with Environmental Club, and that's one. And another that I'd really like to mention is Miss Lindberg and Mr. Brandt, who are the directors of the Math and Science Academy, and also my robotics club sponsors. Last week, we won a major award for our community outreach efforts at our local robotics competition, and we're super excited about that, and the amount of work and time that they put into running the Math and Science Academy and helping us all have field experiences like I spoke about earlier, but also create a really good community at Saguaro has really changed and really improved my high school experience. So I'm super grateful to the both of them, and the opportunities that I've had through robotics and through the Math and Science Academy have been innumerate.
Well, thank you for the shout out to them. I do have to say, Nikihl, that I'm impressed and have been impressed watching you develop over time. You certainly don't shy away from speaking your truth, engaging constructively, and advocating for the positive things on your campus and the changes that you'd like to see. So I'm grateful that you've engaged on the Student Advisory Board and your willingness to share your story with us today.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me.
So that will conclude this episode of our SUSD Spotlight. We'd like to encourage encourage you to join us anytime where it's convenient for you as we shine a light on the extraordinary stories that make Scottsdale Unified School District a truly exceptional place.
And please take a moment to pitch us your ideas. We look forward to hearing from you on our website at susd.org/spotlight.